What's going on, everybody? Yeah, just want to get on here and bring everybody back to now. Appreciate y'all being here and vibing with me for a bit. Yeah, today I'd like to talk about extending love instead of just reacting out of fear. And really changing this flow around of react. Oh, I had a thought. I'm going to react to it. Oh, I seen something scary in the world, so I'm going to just spend my now in fear and torment, and I'm going to worry and try to get to the bottom of it. And spend all this mental exercise just fucking around with hypotheticals of what if, and just choosing to live different. It's like that is such a worthless thing to be doing, and really insane. It's insane to keep responding out of fear, reacting out of fear. This time I'm going to spend all day worrying about, what's going on with the government? What's going on in Washington, D.C.? I'm going to worry about it. That choosing to extend love to the situation is in part, recognizing that everything's an illusion and not really something to be taking seriously. Realizing that so much of this is just being deliberate to show these scraps of fear within our own being. And so looking in the mirror, okay, seeing this, there's this going on. Did it draw up some fear into my awareness in the moment? Not this time, not with that. The phone rang. That was that bad news. All of these things, with what was going on with my dog. She's still, healthy as can be. Thank God for that. And I started to realize it's like, at what point in time do I stop worrying about what happened after she ate poison? It's like that was days ago now. It's like, Am I still going to be in my head worrying about these things? Or am I just going to realize that ultimately everybody's last heartbeat is in God's control? Why am I going to sit here and worry about this? Ultimately nothing was an accident or coincidence with it even happening. And so why am I going to spend this moment not in faith? Why am I going to spend it just in, I'm going to just worry myself and worry, because that's productive. Totally unproductive. It's unproductive. It's a waste of time, and it's a waste of mental energy, and it's a waste of life. And kind of moving from just constantly reacting to, if that happens, what do I do? What do I do then? I'm so used to just responding out of fear. First of all, go within and get that game plan with you and your creator. Your connection is within. But this is just what I'm doing. And what I've been, led to kind of do is start to extend love to it in gratitude. That's really been the flow I've been in for the past, three or so days, is just being a lot more grateful that every moment, grateful for the peace I have in my home right now. That everybody in my house is alive and healthy, and we're prospering, we're abundant, and really stewarding what God's given me to steward, just taking care of it, and small things, just making the bed in the morning. Some people don't even have a nice bed. I know when I was in jail, we just had a mat on a steel frame thing without even a pillow, and going kind of reflecting on that time in my life, and to where I am now is so much different. So many things. When I first got out of jail after spending some time in there, it's like just getting ice water was like a big deal. Something with ice in it, and it was almost one of those things that may be helpful. If people did some time, and you'd be a lot more appreciative. But even so, I mean, I spent most of this walk not being appreciative and almost just reacting the whole time, and not to sit there and judge myself for it, but this is an evolving process. And so just being real and sharing now, because I get if some people are maybe dealing with some trauma, it's kind of hard to go from being super triggered to grateful, expressing gratitude, and this is process for everybody. And so just kind of where I'm at in the process is being a lot more thankful, just that, and I woke up this morning, and thank God for a new day. I woke up, nothing crazy happened in the night. Everybody was still fine. I had a job to go do today, and yeah, it's just really starting to count those blessings. And I recognized yesterday when I was doing like a handyman job, I had to clean out I had a drain in this bathtub that was just clogged with something. And then I had to fix a garbage disposal that was just not even doing anything. And then I had to fix sewer gas that was coming from a toilet. And I had went there earlier this week, and it was one of those things. I thought I could do it in a couple hours. I got there and I spent the whole time, just really messing with the bathtub drain. I thought I could just pour some, liquid plumber in there and like snake it out. Figured it was just hair or something, because a lot of times, if you're like not used to like women with long hair, a lot of times that ends up in the shower drain and that clogs. And so if you are a female with long hair, it doesn't hurt to preemptively pour some of that down your shower drain, maybe once or twice a couple months. Just put some in there just to clear it out. Just do it overnight. But besides that little tip, I just messing with it. I go back there yesterday, and really kind of working on this gratitude, working on not responding and reacting out of fear of like, oh, what if I can't fix it? What if I got to, all these what ifs. I didn't know what was actually even wrong with the garbage disposal, other than it just wasn't working, and you push the button and it's just nothing. And like and I have done a bunch of work for these customers, and so I'm familiar with their house and stuff. And I go there and start messing with the drain again. The first thing I did was get a bunch of water and boiled it and slowly put it down the drain, because thinking, oh well, maybe there's some soap scum or something in there, because the previous time when I put the liquid plumber, it didn't do anything. And so I figured, I'll put some water down there, see if I can break something loose, and take a plunger and see if I can get it broke through and loose, and get the flow going. And as I was up there, I was like really kind of like being present, being still, trying to really stay in the flow, not worried or concerned of like, well, what if I can't fix these things? What if I gotta give that money back? What if I all these what if. And part of it too is like feeling a little bit of like pressure or tension, because like I haven't worked since I finished that renovation job. I've just been coasting basically, and so like the cash flow I'm kind of like working with is like starting to get dwindled down. It's just like, oh shit, I gotta start making some money, doing some jobs and whatnot. And so it's like, okay, they'll start it off with this. So this will get me by for the next couple days or so. And but then there's the fear of like, oh well, what if you can't fix these things? You don't really know what's wrong with this drain, and there's no access to it or anything. I mean, it's completely, you'd have to cut into the a wall or something to get into the drain if I couldn't get it, and I didn't want to do that. And so anyway, I was like, oh, I've been on this gratitude kick and feeling really good about that, because what's also starting to happen is starting to kind of deal with a lot more, I don't know, like more rewarding situations, and this was no different. Where it's just like, thank you God that this is going to be easy, that this drain is going to come open, this is going to happen, and so just kind of let it go and just continue to try to extend love. And what I mean by that is just not sitting there tormenting my own self, or being afraid, being worried, concerned. Just everything's in God's control. Everything is okay. It's all happening ultimately to evolve my consciousness and get me to stop basically dealing with fear and torment, and actually operate exclusively out of love, who is part of this flow. And so as I'm doing now with that bathtub, I ended up putting a bunch of water down there, and it was working a lot better. And I let the water run for about like 15 minutes or so. I'm like, figured, length of a shower, nothing backed up. It was just like, oh great, this is working good. And so what I ended up doing though is just like, I just want to give it one more kind of plunge just to make sure it's flowing good, because it was flowing, and it was like enough of a flow where you could see it spinning around in the drain. but it just seemed like it could do better. And so, I wanted to get it as good as it could be. And I did that. Next thing you know, it was like it started clogging up again. It's like, what the fuck is going on? And it felt like there was something in there. And I'd end up getting the drain snake. I get like this metal coil thing, like 20 something feet you can shove down these drains. And so I shoved it down there, and I'm kind of just like working it around as the water was backing up again. And as I'm doing that, it starts going down, and then it gets hung up on something. And it's just like, what is this? And I pop it up, and it was a cap from like one of the handles to the the hot water. If you look at your handle in your shower, a lot of times there'll be a cap that comes off so you can unscrew them, and that had came off and like went down the drain, and they already had somebody out there before they called me, and they didn't get it out. And they were talking about they had to cut into the wall to try to redo the drain and all sorts of stuff because they couldn't figure out how it was clogged. And it just popped out. And to me, I took that as a sign, like a synchronicity, like, oh, thank God that was easy. It just doesn't need to be difficult. It doesn't need to be a struggle. With God, these things are going to be easy. And really shaking off this programming from the old mindset of like, oh, things need to be a struggle. Things need to be difficult. Things need to be, frustrating. And oh, that's how you learn best. You just strive through it. And it's like bullshit that never works. The more I try to just stay at peace, stay in the moment, the more you recognize this voice of suffering, this voice of the annoying gnat screaming. it's just letting that go, and just like, I don't, this is programming from the old mind. This has no bearing on now, and this has no bearing on the future, because everything is new. And so in this newness, I want to experience that ease, joy, love, and not being tormented. That's the thing about fear that's easy to distinguish about it, is that there's torment and suffering. And so that's not who I am, and that's not who God is, and that's not this new relationship. I'm blessed, you are blessed, everything is new. And so get that done. It's like, yes, super excited. And then go down to mess with the garbage disposal. The same thing. I had no idea what was even wrong with it. I didn't really want to get super involved in it. And I ended up looking at a YouTube video, just like try to see if there's some obvious troubleshooting that can go on, and follow that. And before I did that, I checked the outlets, checked the power, and it had power going to it, and start working down the troubleshooting. And like this guy's video, he and there's also like a reset button on the bottom of a lot of them. Push that, nothing happened, other than it started to kind of hum. And so it's like, okay, well, I don't know, maybe something's stuck in there. And so I watched this YouTube video, and this guy, it was kind of funny, is like he had like a small screw that got stuck in his, and kind of showed the process of like unhooking it and getting into it. And so with the one I was working on, I was like, okay, well, let me just take it apart. It doesn't look like it's that complicated to undo it from the pipe and everything, so I'll just take it out so I can look at it better. And at the bottom, they got a spot for like an Allen wrench where you can kind of mess around with like the motor, see if it spins or doesn't spin. And it wouldn't spin. It was seized up, tight. And my thought was, shit, if I can't get this fixed, again, it's the same type of thing. But quickly caught that fear that crept in, and I'm going to extend love on this. I'm just going to trust God. Ultimately, just taking my hands off the wheel. And it's like, this situation is entirely deliberate. Everything is evolving my consciousness. Everything is for my benefit. So I'm not going to sit here and worry about it. I'm not going to I'm not going to project difficulty onto it. I'm just done with that, and done with this old pattern of thinking about everything. It just takes away your joy and takes away everything from you. And it's like the remedy is on the other side of it, and end up getting into. And there was a screw in that one, It's just like that YouTube video. And I started laughing because like it just all connected to me. To me it was, and like yeah, I ended up getting put back together. It worked great, and ended up fixing the toilet, and everything ended up working out good. And it was just end of the day, with a lot more gratitude and continuing on that. The awesome thing about love, as far as I'm concerned, is it expands. It doesn't contract the way fear does. It's like the gratitude I feel today, tomorrow, it would be even more, as I start to see more and more things to be grateful for, and sharing that with you guys. It's easy to kind of get carried away with what could be happening in the world with fear, but even looking at all these things that are popping up, none of it is by accident. It's like how long are we gonna just spin around reacting out of fear until we just go, what, I choose a different way. I choose to extend love. And so when it comes to any of these initial triggers of fear, instead of reacting out of fear or thinking that that's reality and not an illusion, taking your attention away from the fear or the reactivity and extend love instead. So ultimately, what I'm saying by extending love is, look at that same situation through a new set of eyes that don't involve the fear, and kind of processing it that way. If the phone rings, where maybe in the past be like, oh, it's bad news, it's something, something's going to break my peace, or maybe somebody died, maybe somebody's in the hospital, maybe it's a bill collector, oh, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. It's like, you feel some sort of anxiety or constricted feeling about just even answering the phone, and next time it rings, you're going, maybe you feel the fear, but then going, what, God's on the other end of that. That was intentionally brought to me. Everything's happening, being drawn to me like a magnet. And the more I let go of it's got to play out in a specific way, realizing that God has already given the desires of the heart to you, to me, and to everybody's listening. God knows that one of the main desires of your heart is not to live in fear, not to be tormented every second of the day, reacting out of these things and spinning around in these illusions that are just insane in a lot of different ways. Like, how many times are you gonna spin around expecting a different result? Well, maybe this time when I react out of fear and suffering and torment, it'll work out. Making the choice, like right now, it's like, I am done with this. I choose to experience only love and extend only love, and not spend one more second in fear. And one of the easiest ways to start turning that around is to start finding the things that you're grateful for, the things that are a blessing to you, the things that you have to steward, your family, and realize, all of that exists right now. And in that moment, you got somebody that's alive, you got someone still breathing. All these are things to be thankful for. You start getting in the death clock. It's like at any moment, the heart could stop, the breath could stop, the brain activity, just like that. It's a miracle we're all alive right now to even hear these things. When you start to really get to the bottom of it, things could be so much worse. And when you realize that, it really shifts a mindset into gratitude, which I feel like gets you moving. Raising your vibe. Some people would say raising your inner or your vibration, or all these are sayings. All it is to me is just letting go of the fear, which is clouding your perception of the reality. Then and also just reminding yourself in the moment. Am I in my mind again? Did I just go down a rabbit hole of fear? Don't judge yourself for doing that, but realize that heaven's on the other side of that fear. Be changing that dynamic within. And instead of, oh, here's fear again. I'm battling with it. Change your relationship with it. It's like, okay, well, God just brought this to my awareness for a reason. Heaven's on the other side of it, so I'm going to trust my Creator who's leading me home. that's what I choose. I choose love and only love to experience it, to be it, to see the reflection of it. I don't want to see and or experience any more fear and torment. And so in every moment where God may be bringing some sort of a situation, realize that everything is helping to come to that full realization of being um, love and not fear, being who you actually are, and that on some level everything that's happening is going on within. So the fix to maybe some external situation is to go within and clear up the error in thought in your consciousness. And we don't know that flow, but our creator knows that flow, and we just need to trust and to surrender a lot of ways, just to really embrace. The ego has a hard time wanting to surrender. He wants control. Put everything in its little box so it feels safe, even though it's an illusion of safety. Which these things don't make you safe. God within you draws safety to you. Taking refuge, as the Bible would say, in your Creator, being in God's shadow, which I almost have a different interpretation of that, from, because I've been getting into the promises of God, really just focusing a lot of attention on the promises of God, especially when there's trouble, when there's maybe a storm, something that shakes your bubble, that shakes you. Get into the promises of God, get into that, a meditative state, ask, believe, receive, and go within the answers and what's going on, the flow, everything. It's within, and you might be directed to do something in the physical. It's all kind of flowing together. It's all one process. But like looking at that. Look at the promises, look at this, look at that. But then also applying that. Right now. Thank God that there's peace in your room. Start just really breathing it in, breathing it out. At any moment, anything could have changed. That's part of the fear maybe of the world, is like it's always some looming threat, but it's only now. And so breathe in, breathe out, let it be. Trust the process. Trust that everything is going to, on the other side of this fear, facing that fear, facing that obstacle with the full weight of your conscious awareness in the moment with your Creator, and step into what's going on now. There's only ever now. You're new, the situation is new, and keeping that in the forefront. Start extending love to that instead. So like maybe you have a loved one that might be, you might be worried about, concerned about. Maybe there's an illness, maybe there's whatever that maybe has manifested. Hold your peace. Trust that God's fighting this thing for you, and take refuge in God by being still. And watch the shadow. Watch what happens. It'll be okay. You start seeing the synchronicities. You're not alone. You start seeing all these signs and things going on. Maybe you see nothing at first. It's okay. You just be still. Stay in the moment. Extend love. It's like but through gratitude. It's like if you're maybe like a loved one that's like dealing with an illness or in a hospital or in a coma, it could be anything going on. But like in that present moment, you see the promises of God, so God's a healer. Oh, He won't heal me though. Maybe God's ways is He's gonna hurt me. And these are all programmings. All these things that start to bubble up that try to keep you from being still, from being present, from being love. And instead of that taking you on a trip of torment in your mind, you start being grateful, for what you have, even if it might seem dire. It's like, well, they're still breathing. Thank God that God's breath is still moving in and out of that person. That you got another moment that you can spend extending love only to that person and not fear and torment. So whatever the situation might arise, looking at it, not from the old man mind, but from the new creation that you are, that you're new, everything is new, and God's promises are true. And with that, hold your peace. We don't need to fight in the physical. We've already won. The battle's already won. You got to trust our Creator that everything is working according to the benefit of everybody. God is love, and so a lot of like the programming of the old is God wants to hurt you all the time, and when you start to really connect in the moment, it's like, are you hurting yourself? Are you how much of this are you bringing on yourself? These thoughts, these emotions, these fears, and then making the choice, like, I choose not to hurt myself anymore. I choose not to torment myself anymore, and I'm going to hold my peace, and I'm going to be at peace. I'm going to extend love. I'm going to see healing in the other person. I'm going to see God in the other person. I'm going to see, changing your mindset, ultimately, like almost just dropping the thoughts that come in of like worst case scenarios, like, oh, you like got a mental image of maybe like some horror that's happening to another person. It's like, I don't choose that. I choose love, and then in that moment extend that love back to them. How would it feel to see them happy, peaceful, joyful, full of love, full of smiles and all this kind of shit, and just hold that instead. Extend love and not just react out of a fearful situation that it hasn't even happened yet. It only is existing in a mind state. But so many times we can start getting these thoughts and then just reacting. You can be reacting for an hour or two, sometimes even longer. And there's times I'd react as something for like a week or a month. Just let the shit go, and I need to bring that to you guys' awareness and your attention. And these are things I'm doing. It ultimately your path might be different than mine. Connect with God, go within, and ask Jesus to help you if you're dealing with any type of situation that's troubling or you don't understand it, and really just get into that connected state. And other than that, I like this this example. Let me see if I can find a good picture. I think it's a Zen saying, or it's a story. Has to do. Let me see if I can find the tiger and the strawberry. Let's see if I can find a good picture. I guess this is going to be what it is. And then let me try to get one that's a large image, so you can get it on the screen good. Yeah, I'm just dawdling around here. Let's do this one. Let me do screen capture so you guys can see it. Yeah, and so like kind of the moral of this story, you got a tiger that chased this like monk or whatever they call Zen followers, a monk, I guess. He got chased by his tiger, and he's like fell off this cliff, and he's hanging onto this branch, and the branch he's slipping out of slipping off the branch. Above he's got death of a tiger eating him. Below, falling to death and landing on a bunch of jagged rocks. But in front of him, in the moment, he sees these strawberries, and he just picks the strawberry and eats it and enjoys the strawberry. So like the moral of the story is, enjoy that strawberry in front of you and not worry about what's in front of you or beneath you. And so with that being said, I'd like to wrap these things up with a quote-unquote random Bible verse. Nothing's random. God's 100% in control of literally everything and speaks to us in the moment. I just want to give God a chance to speak to you, who's ever listening now. See what God's got to say. 1 Corinthians 13:11 through 13. When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass, darkly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then shall I know even as also I am known. And now abideth faith, hope, charity, these three, but the greatest of these is charity. There you go. And with that being said, I appreciate you guys liking, sharing, subscribing. I appreciate you guys' attention and your love in the physical and non-physical. I appreciate your support. And with that being said, I think I'm gonna bounce. So thanks everybody, and until the next now, God bless.